There's protected law already. So I don't think that, based on what you said, I just want to make sure I'm understanding that the President of the United States does not normally sit down and look at all these things. He has a cabinet of people that's bringing him things. I don't think he's read up on this one based on what you said. I think a lot of times we get caught up in things and we make it as if though the individual, and I want to make sure everybody knows this, the President of the United States is not our leader. He's the leader of the free world. Each individual person is their own leader, hopefully. I think that we got to get back to personal responsibility. That's why I see it.
I gotcha. I mean, it's just any attempt, and like I said, I acknowledge this was not federal, though I guess I thought so because a federal judge was involved.
But Moose, are you asking yourself, why would Trump want to do this?
Exactly. I don't have an answer.
It's called anti-Trump propaganda. Duh.
Why would the president put his name on this at all?
Look at the news source and the journalists. Are you this daft and that stupid to know that all communication is spam? Gotcha. It's just fake news, stupid. It's clickbait. Gotcha. Just like all Clown House room titles are clickbait generally.
Okay, cool. So then what about all these stories around the world? Forget Trump. That has nothing to do with Trump, but actually, are all the stories around the world, like, do you think...
All the stories around the world?
Stand by. Do you think it's all fake news, that priest have molested kids?
Welcome to the publishing industry. If you think sending Grant Cardone $99.95 to go to Grant Cardone University is going to make you money and not cost you money, you're part of the sucker group. And guess what, Moose? This is your great awakening and enlightening. MSNBC is fake news. CNN is fake news. Your Rolling Stones puts out fake news. It's called the publishing industry, stupid. It's called the publishing industry, stupid. Wake up before you get suckered into more scams and spams, and then come here and spread more fake news and more propaganda.
Hold on. Shut up, American. Hold on. American, listen. Moose has ideas that I disagree with, just like I have ideas that he disagrees with. But the one thing I can vouch for Moose is that he doesn't argue in bad faith. He comes to these rooms to just, sometimes to just challenge the conviction that some of us have, and to speak what's on his mind. I think we need to create that place. I think there's a way to rebuttal the things that you disagree with without being inflammatory. There are definitely people on this app that we should shit down the neck of. I don't think Moose is one of them.
Well, that's fine, but I'm just saying the links that he put in the chat, to me, they're fake news. Now, if you want to deflect about pedophiles and Trump and the Catholic Church from the fact that we are borrowing and spending ourselves into a debt spiral oblivion, let's go back to that important topic instead of the bullshit fake news that you can't seem to let go and put in the chat. So thank you very little, Dr. Moose.
Fake news that it's in Google, you can call everything fake, but there is a backup to that story.
Sorry, Dr. David, but can we save the leftists? Let's get back to the room title then, David, because I know you're a confirmed leftist. Can we save you?
Well, you know all about me. Wait a minute, hold on. Like, if you're not going to take the concerns of somebody like Moose, and then you're going to ask for controls over economic principles or the foundation of the country, if you can't actually acknowledge that this is a concern that may be on his radar, and he may want answers, he may want clarity, and like he just conceded that he thought it was a federal, and it turns out it was actually a state law, and he agreed to that, and you don't take your time to actually talk with him and actually have that conversation to go to the nuances and say whether you agree or disagree with this, you'll never win on an economic front. It cannot only be on economics. We've tried that for years in conservatives. Guess what? Conservatives lost. Like, I'm going to tell you, I've lost. I'm like probably the last of a dying breed. I'm done. It is a new Republican. It is a new, there's no more liberals left. There's no more libertarians. We're all dead. We're done. And you're not going to win the economic front by just screaming economic. You won't win, just is your main source. You have to address everything else.
And Brad, I think that what you just said, that's why we're collapsing. I think Roger said 2030, guys, because we can't support all the programs. We can't support, and I'm going to use these terms so you guys understand. Black Lives Matter. Okay, and I'm using that as an illustration so you guys understand. SNAP, WIC, all these things that's taking place in the United States. Social Security, the Great New Deal. We've gotten so far away from personal responsibility in America that now we think there's some institution or some group of people that's going to save the individual. It doesn't work. And it's very unfortunate because now we're in a country where people actually think that someone's actually coming to their rescue. And it's pretty sad.
I think America does need a political savior. They need someone to actually help them out and with their economic needs. And I do think that is the MAGA populist movement. I think that I disagree with you, Ed, a little bit that we have to do away with some of that stuff. Some of that stuff I agree with. Some of that stuff I disagree with. I think protecting Social Security, protecting Medicare, Medicaid, all these things. These are political wins because people want big government. People want government intervention if it benefits their personal lives. And I think that's actually a bipartisan view. I think that's a winning message. I think both political parties should double down on that. I say moving away from that because that's when Republicans become losers. When they actually focus on fiscal conservatism, focus more on the debt than helping individual people's lives, the working class, these people who are struggling paycheck to paycheck. You need the government to intervene to help these people out. Through their personal responsibility.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Why do you need the government to do this? See, you made this statement that you need the government to do this. What you've done is you've just accepted leftist rhetoric and you framed it. You've got your own heroes that you want to see elected, but you've accepted their framing that the government must do that. And my question for you, Astro, is why have you accepted the leftist framing of what the government's role is?
I wouldn't say this is a leftist framing. I would say, it's basically interventionism versus non-interventionism. It's not exclusively left or right. You had Democrats, like in the Bill Clinton era, who actually were less for government intervention in the economy and certain issues, okay? And you have right-wingers like Josh Hawley and J.D. Vance who are for government intervention in the economy and certain issues, okay? And they're not leftists. They're right-wingers.
No. They LARP as right-wingers, but they're not. The new Republican Party is not capitalist. The new Republican Party, they do want to intervene in the economy, which by definition makes them non-capitalist. And the fact is that you guys have accepted this. You guys have accepted this horse shit. You guys have accepted this idea that Donald Trump, because you like him better than you like the other team, that his bad ideas are okay. That tariffs, putting a tax on fucking consumers is okay. You accept all of this shit that are bad ideas that I would expect to come from lefties, but because you have like a foul-mouthed fucking guy like Trump, you think that's more edgy and it's more cool. I just want to understand, where the fuck did your principles go?
Well, I would say this, I think you're right. The Republican Party is moving away from free market capitalism. I welcome it. I think that's a great thing. It doesn't mean they're socialists or leftists. I won't say that. But I do think the shift to economic populism, that's what I would call it, is good for the American people. But I would disagree with Trump on certain things. I'm not going to say I agree with him on every single thing. But I do think, from the 2008 recession, from Occupy Wall Street, from all these elites who keep promising all these different things, and they actually never deliver for the American people at all.
Astro, you agree that borrowing and spending is the solution. You just admitted it. You think moving away from capitalism and moving to socialism, communism, borrowing and spending and wealth redistribution is the way that the Republicans should go? That's the way you think, Astro? Mr. MAGA?
Well, I would say this. I'm not a socialist. I'm for economic intervention. Just because you're for economic intervention doesn't mean you're socialist. There's alternatives to capitalism and alternatives
Economic
to
intervention is another term for borrowing and spending.
Actually, I have a question. When you said there's an alternative to something, I'm 100% against big government in any form. These are our founding documents. We hold these to be self-evident. We are way too big on interventionism. And look around, it's not working. We got way too many Americans right now who can't even think for themselves. Because you know why? They're looking to government. When do the individual in America, Astro, decide that this is their America, not someone who's in some central area making decisions on behalf of Edward? I just help me with that.
Well, I would say that if you actually had decreased federal government power, but empower the states to do like economic regulation and stuff like that too, and before that as well. That's still big government policy, just more on the local level. I think that's fine. But for the individual as a
So you'd rather have the local government take over the business spectrum and have the government manage it all? Astro, shut the fuck up.
Well, yeah, hold on. Astro, here's the fucking issue. Here's the issue. Like, who fucking needs fucking leftists if we've got righties like you? Like, this is crazy. Like, you're not a capitalist, right? And you think that having alternatives to capitalism is a good idea. You've ignored the fact that capitalism has a track record of pulling more people out of poverty than any other economic system, and you're like, yeah, fuck that, we'll try something new. And the thing that you want to try that you think is new are lefty ideas, but as long as they're advocated by Republicans, you're all for them. What the fuck do you actually stand for, Astro?
Yeah, I would say this is that, like, hey, the socialists would say, hey, the USSR became a global superpower under their economic system. I'm not going to sit here and say communism is a good thing, socialism is a good thing, just because there's small little benefits here and there for their economic system, okay? And I would say this, that, like, I do have principles.
Economic solution, they were a mafia group that took over by murder and mayhem. They were terrorists.
Economic nationalism is key. You don't actually give you don't give all your cultural values for the GDP for higher GDP. You don't actually decrease your sovereignty to give it to the mega corporation who doesn't care about your values, who doesn't care about your culture, who actually will sell you on a dime just to actually make a quick buck. That's what capitalism in the United States does already. That's one reason why I like Ron DeSantis going after Disney, because these mega corporations that go against conservative values need to be crushed by the state.
Hold on. First of all, you don't possess conservative values. Let's be fucking clear on that. Secondly, this idea that fucking economic nationalism, if economic nationalism is your idea, then you're not fiscally conservative, period, point blank, because you're not going to be able to keep, if you want to put regulations, if you want to put your hand on the scale of the market, you know what large corporations are going to do? They're going to give you the fucking finger and they're going to go elsewhere. This is why people that don't understand economics like yourself should shut the fuck up in these conversations. You should be doing more reading and more listening. The fact is, the only reason anybody ever comes up with these economic nationalism ideas is because in their fucking heart of hearts, they're just fucking racist. What you really think, this is what the fuck at the heart of MAGA is. The heart of MAGA is that we want the country to be white again. And we don't give a shit if it's economically successful. You can give me the thumbs down all you want. I'm telling you exactly the way that this stuff plays out. You guys are prioritizing this idea of what you think the country should look like over what would be effective in terms of governance. This is why you have these xenophobic views about immigration. Now, I would agree with Trump about illegal immigrants. You dumb motherfuckers don't want immigration of any fucking kind. I guarantee you that if we were to continue down this conversation, we're going to get to some Pat Buchanan, David Duke horse shit where you can laugh all you want. You probably like those guys. Huh? Why don't we pause right there? Asher, tell me your thoughts on David Duke and Pat Buchanan.
I disagree with David Duke. Pat Buchanan had some good ideas. I disagree with him on a lot of things too, but I think he's better than David Duke. Yeah.
I bet you couldn't tell the difference between their policy. Here's at the end of the day, look, if you're not a fucking capitalist, then you're not a fucking conservative. Because if there's anything wrong, well, no, it's true. It's true.
And by the way, if you're going to be a fucking anti-capitalist, why not at least fucking go hang your fucking your coat with the fucking lefties? And like this thing that you're doing, I honestly am starting to believe that the left's new tactic is to infiltrate the Republican Party, behave like leftists, and tell you that white capitalism is a bad fucking thing. This is fucking crazy. And I hope that the Republicans that are in this room that are free market capitalists can hear this horse shit and understand what this fucking guy is saying. This guy is not a conservative. He probably doesn't even follow politics. I guarantee he's never read anything when it comes to economics. He's probably never heard of Ludwig von Mises. He's probably never heard of Friedrich Hayek. He probably has never understood what the Chicago School was all about. I won't get into Adam Smith because I know that's above your reading comprehension level. And if I said School of Salamanca, you would think it's a character from Breaking Bad. So I won't get into any of those things with you because you're a fucking idiot.
With Adam Smith, Astro, I'm gonna tell you right here, as one of the more prominent voices in the conservative spaces on this app for 5 fucking years, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around somebody who literally has espoused, where's Moose? Moose, apologize for your ears. This has been no way any kind of event, but literally has been a went through Moose's side of the arguments on the political spectrum for 5 fucking years. Like I have had arguments with Moose over these very principles that you're now espousing, and you're saying that you're coming from a conservative lens. I wouldn't think that up from you myself. I won't. And Roger and I go toe to toe, and he'll yell at me at times, and it's fine. I respect him, and I admire him more for it. But I mean, your economic principles are nowhere near what any conservative I've ever read, heard, or even had a discussion with believe.
If Astro is a mole, or I should do a red shield, the guise of Republican or MAGA, you can have.
Okay, well, what I was going to say is that, like, I'm not a fiscal conservative, but guess what? The Republican Party is not a fiscally conservative party either. I mean, it's a big.
I've been saying that for fucking years. It's not a drag. Fucking retard.
Let me respond to you, Mojo. It is a Big Tent party. It's not the Libertarian Party. If you want pure libertarian economic theory, there is party for you. It's called the Libertarian Party. Go there, get 2% of the vote, and just and vote for them all the time. Okay, but here's the thing: the Republican Party is Big Tent. There's different, groups of people with different ideologies within it.
Hey, one thing they fucking little for your dumbass.
Well, that's how we won.
Stop there. You can say it's a Big Tent party. I'll act this. Yeah, Trump has allowed literally everybody in. I would say though, you need to refrain from saying you're a conservative because that principle does not apply at all. Not even close. Not even on. You may have one issue that crosses over so far. Maybe. I don't think you've actually stated an issue that conservatives would follow or believe. But I don't know. We haven't finished yet. Roger's going to tear you up a bit, but if you thick skin enough, I would say stay in it. But he's going to tear you up.
Astro, do you even know what's in your PTR? No more endless wars. Do you realize your economic policy is what guarantees endless wars, you low IQ nitwit?
I would say no. It's ultimately the for-profit motive, actually selling all these weapons to all these different countries. That does actually ensure.
Oh, now we found it. Economic nationalism because you hate the Jews. Go ahead.
Well, I do think we should reorient our alliance with Israel. I do, but I won't say I hate the Jews.
There you go. So after, dude, that didn't take long.
No, it didn't.
This is how I knew it that he was down with David Duke.
Wait, I want to entertain this a bit. Like, what do you mean you value our alliance with Israel?
They're not good partners. I mean, they've had the international ire of every single country known to man. They've actually gotten our bases in the Middle East bombed because they keep doing hostile aggression against Iran. I mean, they're not good allies.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You're gonna shut the fuck up. How about that? No, you're gonna shut the fuck up. No, you can't. Respectfully, no, you can't. Listen. You've said it all right now. their aggression against Iran. They're being attacked on multiple fronts from terrorist groups that are sponsored by the IRGC. And your response is that we should realign our foreign policy because that Israel is the problem. This is how we know how problematic you are. So you want economic nationalism, but you also would be more sympathetic to the IRGC, which is a country of religious fundamentalists that pray to a prophet that molests little girls. This is your politics. And I'll tell you, that has nothing to do with any Burkean fucking conservatism. What branch of conservatism do you come from? I want to hear the tree that you've come from. I would bet I could predict it, and I would bet that I wish we were in person. I would write down the fucking answer. I would fold it up in a piece of paper. I would seal it in an envelope. I would ask you the question, and then I would say to one of the pretty ladies, please open the envelope and unfold the piece of paper. I guarantee you I know where your dumbass ideas come from. And I'll tell you right now, it's not conservatism. You're just a fucking bigot. But go ahead, you can speak now.
Well, Mojo, how about you guess first, and I'll tell you. I'm just curious if you guess right.
That's not how predictions work. Go ahead.
Well, just guess. I'll tell you if it's correct or not.
I think that you're probably a groiper. I would say that Nick Fuentes is probably somebody that you're very fond of. Am I close?
Close, but no cigar. I would say that I'm closest to the Christian nationalist movement.
Got it. The Christian nationalist movement. I don't know if there's fucking awards for accuracy here to be able to spot the fucking foolishness from a mile away, but my track record here is fucking impeccable. I smelled you coming. For fuck's sake.
So, how would you then, as a member of said Christian nationalist movement, what is the crux? What is the agenda, if you will? Your reasoning behind that. If I'm not mistaken, I think some stories have been surfacing where they're trying to actually allow this in corporations now. Allow religion with a bigger hint, with a bigger bias towards what your identity, your Christian nationalist movement. What does that movement mean to you?
I mean, I think it's the perfect balance on social issues and economic issues. Social issues are king, and then economic issues also reflect biblical teaching, which means
the demographic as far as ethnicity breakdown, roughly.
So you mean going into a death spiral? Going into a death spiral reflects Christian values?
Well, I would say this, simping for Disney, for Amazon, for Walmart that exploit these people, that promote LGBTQ ideology, that promote abortion, that promote all these things. I'm sorry, I'm not going to actually simp for these mega corporations.
To Mojo's point, sorry, go ahead.
But I will go back. Let me go back to what you said, Mason. My personal opinion, it's all about ideology. It's not about ethnicity. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think. I'm not like these race realists, these racists, these white nationalists, or white supremacists like the Groypers are. That's where I would disagree with them on. They focus too much on race.
I would argue that those people that you just said you're not a part of, they make up a significant portion of said population of this Christian national movement, or at least in the guise and facade of calling themselves that. No.
I would say that they're a separate movement altogether. I think the Groypers are, a lot of times they focus more on race than they do religion. Religion's more of an afterthought. It's more about saving the white race and stuff. And most of the Christian nationalists I've seen, they're not really ethnic centric. Maybe they're actually stricter on immigration policy, but that doesn't make you like a racist or anything. But
you got a lot of brothers at the cookout at these meetings, or would you say that most of the meetings that you went to are white mostly?
I would say the closest thing to me is Christian. I don't even like the term Christian nationalism, but it's the closest thing to my political group. But there's people who agree with me who are who are ethnic minorities. I mean, I know one guy. He's Jewish. He's Hispanic. He's married to a black woman. He agrees with me. He agrees with me.
Again, but my question though is, would you say predominantly it consists of white people identifying as white Caucasian?
Americans? Oh my God, Americans talking to Americans. Can we stop with the racial identity politics for 10 seconds?
I'm not.
Well, no, it was Mojo's point earlier about the white supremacy and the MAGA movement. I was just trying to, explore that further.
Yeah,
I'm not who's actually do not live in that city.
yeah, and like,
He's got a lot. He's got a lot of it. Okay? Especially when you don't. If you say that you're a Christian nationalist, which is very oxymoronic, kind of very crazy, because Jesus was actually a Jew. I don't know if you know that or not. So for you to actually think that's free. And I also like to find out from you who carries your economic portfolio, or do you have an economic portfolio? I just want to know.
well, I mean, I think a good historical Christian who did was G.K. Chesterton. He believed in interventionist economic theory. And he believed in, helping the working class, the average man.
He believed in borrowing and spending and fiat currency? G.K. Chesterton? Wow. Where in G.K. Chesterton did you read that?
Hold on, guys. What I just want to translate this to people that are listening. When he says economic interventionist, what he meant to say was a fascist. But go ahead.
No, I wouldn't say that. G.K. Chesterton was a fascist. But I would say that.
principles will literally Mussolini. Exactly. Thank you, Brad. I didn't know say that, Brad.
And also,
Hold on. No, hold on. I'm going to give you a chance to respond, believe me. And I needed to take a few deep breaths while I was on mute, calm myself down. Look, the foolishness from the left is enough for me to deal with. But when the foolishness from the right starts bubbling up like this, when your economic policies are just as dangerous, if not worse than the left, we've got a real fucking problem here. And the problem is this. The problem is that, A, you don't know economics. You don't study it. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about. And what you're doing is you're leading with this idea of what you think the country should be. You think your version of Christianity, your version of what America should be, is what should be. So what you're saying is that you're an authoritarian, right? You're an authoritarian anti-capitalist, but you think that the Republican Party is the vehicle for you. Now, this is the thing that should scare Republicans. If this guy is right and there's more like him, and they're just like cockroaches. If you see one, there's probably a lot more. If an authoritarian that's a non-capitalist finds safe harbor in the Republican Party, you guys have a lot of soul searching to do.
And I would disagree with that, like that characterization. I mean, Trump actually. Let me just say this one thing. You can go back.
Go ahead.
What I would say is that Trump is proof that a modern economists are wrong. They're cringe. These free market Wall Street Journal people, they don't know what they're talking about. Tariffs, intervention in the economy is good and can bring about growth. And if I'm authoritarian for actually wanting intervention in the economy, then you have to say Trump is too. Go for it.
Yes. Well, no, hold on. Yes, Trump is an authoritarian. And you know who was an authoritarian before him? Biden. And you know who was an authoritarian before him? Trump. And you know who was an authoritarian before him? I could keep going. You have to go back to fucking Calvin Coolidge to find a U.S. president that wasn't an authoritarian. But Astro, I get that you see in Trump, you see this hope that this guy that's threatened by foreigners, this is your old nationalistic thing, threatened by people that don't think just like you. And so then you try to wrap it up in some fucking wacky idea that you understand economics. And what's crazy to me is, and I'm glad you're doing this. I'm glad everybody can see this, because when I say it, they say, oh, well, you just don't like Trump. Here's a guy that likes Trump, right? He likes Trump, and he openly acknowledges that he's not a capitalist, and he openly acknowledges that he wants more control over the economy which basically makes him an economic fascist. And so what I hope you guys are hearing here is that what Astro sees is an ally in Trump that is anti-capitalist and has fascistic fucking viewpoints when it comes to taking over the economy.
I'm still like trying to wrap my head around where his religious ideology would warrant intervention in the economic sectors, like such as shutting down major employers such as Amazon, Walmart. Who else did he say? He said a litany of them. But
We can't.
And then saying that somehow this would promote economic prosperity, and then at the same time to reevaluate trade agreements on a global scale, and to somehow think we're going to get on top when you're really taking one of our top tier. Like there's tiers to like which nations we trade with that have like they help promote economic interests in the United States, and you're taking one of them that actually gives us safety, security, along with other things, and you're saying that is your first target. I don't know where the rest of your economic plan comes into play, but you're not sounding like a liberal. You sure as hell not a conservative. You sound exactly like the progressives, like an AOC, like a Kamala. Roger's right, and I'm sorry, but you sound more like that. You're just adding Christianity and thinking that somehow you can cover under the conservative.
Astro, he's calling you a hypocrite and a fake patriot. Do you understand that your desire to borrow and spend and do economic intervention is anti-American and low IQ? It's stupid, Astro. Wake up.
Wait, hold on. Let's get Hold on. I know you're not a free market capitalist, and neither is Trump, and I'm glad you're pointing this out. I'm glad you're pointing this out. Shut the fuck up. I'm going to ask you a question, retard. Here's the question for you. In your economic nationalism, where are you going to get rubber from?
Trade. Regulated trade.
Wait, hold on. So you acknowledge that you might need rubber, right?
Well, I'm not against trading. We just gotta do fair trade, not free trade.
Oh, fair trade. And fair trade is you putting your hand on the scale to create a tax that the consumers have to pay for. That's what you call fair trade?
You know, you let the companies eat it up because they have the money to spend.
That's not what happens, though.
If you use the government to
My star.
Number
16.
That never happens. Are you saying that what
happened under Trump? It's just Trump actually putting a little bit of pressure on these companies. That's what prices have not gone up significantly.
Wait. Hold on. So now you're telling me that you're for price controls?
I mean, you can do it different ways. You know, like it just depends.
Do you support price controls? Yes or no?
I'm not. I don't think there's anything wrong with the state pressuring companies to actually have affordable prices.
Do you support price controls? Yes or no?
I think that answers my question.
I think you're a fucking retard. I'm done with it. I'm gonna have a fucking aneurysm.
That's true.
No, shut the fuck up, Lordness. I'm going to bring this guy back up in a second. I literally need to go walk the fucking dog. You guys have this fucking room. I'm going to come back. We'll shit down his neck a little bit more. But I swear to Christ, I'm going to have to take a goddamn blood pressure pill. This is fucking crazy. This is a fucking Republican. This is a Trump support. I hope you're listening. Brad, hello. Fucking Edward, hello. You people that are voting for Republicans, hello. What have I been telling you guys? What have I been telling you? That the Republicans are a bunch of anti-capitalists just like the fucking leftists. And you just fucking heard this guy advocating for this shit. I hope you guys heard this. I hope you heard it loud and clear. You guys think I make this shit up. You guys think I pull this shit out of my ass. Listen, I don't know why did fucking God put me on this earth to be the fucking voice of reason. Look, I'm not the fucking hero you deserve, but I'm the one you fucking got. You guys need to start listening to me. When I tell you that fucking Trump is an anti-capitalist, you need to fucking acknowledge it. Moving forward, hopefully you will understand that when I tell you these things, I'm here to help you.
Roger, I never discounted your critiques of Trump. I've never considered Trump a conservative. I've stated that many times, and we've had many fucking rooms together bashing Trump's economic interventionist policies, as well as his failures to actually live up to the promises that this guy down below has done. So please walk the dog, take your blood pressure, have a Diet Coke. Like we hear it. What do you want me to do as a conservative? I am the outs of the party. They have it. It's the same thing you are with the Libertarian Party. We're fringe. We're no longer relevant. They don't want to listen to us, and they want to just they want to slide down that mountain head first without a skis or anything to help them on a rope. They just want to go down that way, and they just want the culture. They don't want anything else. They just want to have a religious versus anti-religious culture.
This country has become the Soviet Union of America, not the United States of America anymore. We can't just keep borrowing and spending. Economic intervention doesn't work. It's anti-American, it's low IQ, it's stupid. It's just kicking the can down the road. Wake the fuck up.
Economic intervention gave us 3% growth.
No, look, what we need to do is get rid of a majority of laws that are regulating our corporations in terms of technology, weaponry, all that, and improve our type of technology and weaponry over time. We would become more of a threat in comparison to other nations. Then, we could probably get a lot more from other nations.
I think we should actually decrease regulation that actually incentivizes mega corporations from growing. I think that's one thing the libertarians need to correct. I think Ron also believes that. So, I'm not against that. But we still need some regulation in the economy.
No. We shouldn't have any form of regulation on economy, no.
Esther, in the Constitution, what agency is specifically called out? What is the one agency that the Constitution actually delivers to the American people? Do you know what it is, Esther?
I do not remind me, American.
It's the Census Bureau. That's the only agency in our Constitution. Do we need the CIA? Do we need the FBI? Do we need the NSA? Do we need this and that and 350 other agencies? Do they have to keep getting funding, Astra?
Yeah, I think a lot of these agencies you can absolutely, do away with, or you could subvert them and use them for your own political interests. Either way, it's fine by me. So, I'm not against that.
Astro, I've got a question for you. And please don't say anything that irritates me. What is the 30-year period in U.S. history that had the most economic growth? Can you tell me?
I'm guessing, if I had to guess, I don't know, but maybe under Reagan, I think that's what you're going to say.
No, fuck Reagan.
No, even earlier than that. So, during the 20s, the roaring 20s?
No, there was, at the end of the 20s, we had a depression, for fuck's sake.
Well, I know that's what I was thinking. Oh, maybe that's when they had the mass crash, but go for it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Zayn, why are you speaking while I'm speaking? I'm moving you down. I'll move you back up. Learn some fucking manners. So the 30-year period of the most economic growth in this country was from 1870 to 1900. And do you know what led to that prosperous time? Any idea?
Explain away.
Deregulation. I rest my case.
And then you had the Gilded Age, and you had massive backlash against that from the workers.
You had
the rise of socialism in the United States as well.
Yes, no, you're right. Let me talk about this. So we had a 30-year period where economic expansion was the shit. And then this country got poisoned by a bunch of fucking leftist shit fucking tards. And they come in and they unwind all this stuff and they start getting romanced by these fucking leftists in Europe. And they decided to start moving in the direction that you want to move, where you want to control the economy. And then look at this. You go from the most economic growth from 1870 to 1900, and by 1929, there's a goddamn collapse. And the worst economic time comes for between then and then the end of the World War II. And then by the end of World War II, then we were prosperous again. So I want to just explain something to you. We have a track record in this country. We can see we have a long history, 249 years. We can look at the history and we can see the economic prosperity under controlling the economy, and we can look at the economic prosperity when you let the economy go. The most The most production that we've ever done was in the least regulated time, and what you're calling for is not an easing of restrictions. See, I want to eliminate almost all regulations. You don't even want to ease them. You want to go the other direction. You want to take your fucking fascist fist, put it on the goddamn scale, and you want to put it down. This is, look, all you have to do is read fucking history. Your ideas have been tried and they fucking failed. They've been tried multiple times and they failed multiple times. This is the funny thing, though. For those of you listening, he's not a Democrat. These wacky ideas, he believes he can achieve these goals through Donald Trump. This is a guy that does not believe in free market capitalism, and he wants to push these ideas through the Republican Party under Donald Trump. You guys need to get your shit together. Clean your fucking backyard, guys.
Yeah, what I would say to that is that, if FDR, if Teddy Roosevelt, and all these other people who were more economically liberal didn't do what they did, the socialists would have gone in power. They would have revolted against the United States in the early 1930s, and we wouldn't have our way of life at all. So sometimes appeasing the populace, even at the expense of economic development, is a good thing, especially if it means, helping average individual people's lives, okay? The GDP is not supreme. Wall Street is not supreme, okay? And ultimately what actually is supreme is the average American. That is the way to go. Now, I think most people would agree with that, but we just have different ways of actually achieving that. I think Mojo would say it's deregulation. I would say it is more economic interventionism. That means stimulus checks. Give me my $1,000 rebate.
There you go. There you go. This guy.
That's what I'm saying. And that's how
I'm now moving this retard back down. You guys can bring him back up if you want to fucking have a say. Look, this guy's not a fucking Republican. He's not a conservative. He's not a capitalist. He's none of those things. That is a fucking leftist, okay? That is a leftist. And what he's doing is he's trying to get his ideas passed because he doesn't think that the Democrat Party, because they're out of power, can get any of these ideas done. You guys have let this guy into your fucking camp. I can't believe. Why do I have to be the one to police this shit? Can I please have a real fucking conservative stand up and say Donald Trump's a fucking idiot? That fucking guy that supports Donald Trump's policies is a fucking idiot. Tariffs are a fucking tax on consumers. And stand up. Where the fuck are the capitalists in this fucking room? If there is a single capitalist outside of me in this room, please fucking speak now.
Well, the owners of this stupid app aren't capitalists. Where's the ads in this fucking room? Where's the rev share? They got their payout already, I guess, a couple $100 million, and they're just going to sit there and do nothing with it. But, it's opportunities like this to identify the problem, which is former speakers who believe in borrowing and spending infinitely to grow the economy, to get us out of debt. The problem is Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, the NDAA, $1 trillion for defense, and $1 trillion on the interest payments. It is unsustainable. It's a death spiral. In my opinion, everything else is political. Maybe even the debt is political because it's all fucking fiat. So, like Mojo said, either we break it or we fix it. Or I think the third option would be we do nothing and we just continue to spend at, a $2 trillion a year deficit and we fuck the rest of the world who has invested in our fucking Ponzi scheme.
But what we do need is improvement on innovation and technology.
Oh, yeah.
Corporations and the population to
All that
support these
comes from
corporations.
the private sector. You realize that? Like, there's no federal fucking government. There's nowhere in the federal fucking government that creates, a fucking new rocket. Elon Musk for his SpaceX created more advances than NASA did since the fucking Challengers. I'm still confused. Like, I mean, Elon Musk hasn't been around, SpaceX hasn't been around as long, so I'm kind of confused. The innovations that you speak of and you want, they're not created by the federal government. They buy them. They'll fucking pay for contracts to develop them, but those planes that you talk about, they're built by private companies. They innovate them, and then the government spends all of your tax money literally on those planes.
I agree, but I mean, being more of a mass production rate type of mentality for the main government itself.
Wait, hold on. Can we get back to the fact that the guy fucking said that what we need to do is send out more stimulus checks? Like, he said we should send out more stimulus checks. And then I'm sure that you guys have voted for Trump or just like, oh, that's nonsense. That sounds like something Democrats would do. Well, I don't know if you guys remember. That motherfucking Trump, he was spending like a drunk fucking liberal. That guy was giving out stimulus checks. This guy just wants more of them. This is what I honestly think. I think that the stimulus check that dude got is probably the fucking biggest check he's ever been handed in his fucking life. And he's like, fuck, Donald Trump fucking cut me a nice little check. Hopefully he'll cut me some more. And I just gotta say, you fucking Republicans, man, you better do better. If in 2028 you don't fucking get a capitalist in here, we're all fucked.
Well, Roger, I mean, to a certain extent, with my ideology, in some way, it does have capitalism here.
You don't have an ideology. You have a fucking retardation. Your idea is that you don't need a government. Listen, I don't want regulation of the market, but I do fucking recognize that government does have a role, which is why we should talk about what the rights of man is. That's why we should talk about what the role of government is. We should have a strong military. It should be able to kick everybody's ass. Doesn't mean we need to go pick and fights like we do, but we should absolutely have a strong military. We need a police force. Why do we need that? Because some of you fucking degenerates are committing crime, and your little panty asses need to go into a jail cell. And in order to get you in the jail cell after you've been apprehended, we need to put you in a court of law, which means that we need courts. So we need courts, we need police, and we need the military. Everything else should be negotiable. You guys just heard from a Trump supporter that said he wants to expand the government, and he wants to put the hand on the scale of the economy because he doesn't believe that the leftists have done enough to put their hand on the scale. He doesn't think that they've given enough of your tax dollars away. He doesn't believe that the fiat currency where they continue to print and then just send checks, he wants additional checks. This guy probably supports UBI. This guy, he doesn't have a capitalist bone in his body. And you fucking guys all have one thing in common. You motherfuckers voted for Trump. Shame on all of you.
It's either him or Camilla.
I mean, you do realize that Kamala and Waltz would have redirected the money and expanded the debt dramatically compared to what Trump and his administration are doing. And the fact is, the borrowing and the spending is unsustainable. I don't know if you watched Chairman Powell's remarks yet today, but he kept rates fixed. And, Trump wants them to lower rates. I mean, we could have negative rates if we wanted in this country, but a banking cartel, a monopoly organization, controls the fucking interest rates in this country instead of we, the voters, we, the taxpayers, or our elected representatives. You have no control over the interest rate because a group of a cartel controls it and it's law. I mean, it's a problem.
Yes, I'll take the blame, Roger. You're right. It's my fault. I allowed. I didn't take a stronger stance against preserving the conservatives or sheltering them. You know what? It is my fault. It is my generation's fault. It is men like me who did slap back ideas like this. You can only do so much. I wouldn't put him at the table with us just because they voted for Trump. I wouldn't put a lot of guys at the table with me that voted for Trump. There's a whole lot of people. Some people just voted for him because it was popular. I don't think they can articulate one thing he actually, one piece of legislation, one executive order that he signed that he could articulate it. So I have them. Progressives have them on their side. The libs have to own that one as well. But on the conservative side, yeah, we have like idiots like Fuentes that hang out in the ether. You have Christian nationalists that sit there and say the nation needs to be governed by Christians. And I am, because there is a man on stage that I actually respect and admire, I would literally have no problem giving my life
founders want that, nor did the founders want it.
Exactly.
I know they do.
Exactly. Like, so that,
If it's not
actually-
religion, well, then it's racial identity politics, and that's what we have and continue to have. There's DEI everywhere still.
So let me read you guys something. And this is back when Republicans had brains. You guys can tell me who this quote came from. I'll read a few quotes. The benefits of free trade are clear, and the arguments against it are always made by those seeking special privilege. That's quote. The appropriate answer to most problems in trade is not to add restrictions, but to eliminate them. Here's a third quote. The case for free trade is as close to a scientific consensus in economics as you can get. Anyone want to guess where those three quotes came from? Anyone?
John Smith.
No. Somebody way more bitchin' than him.
Friedman, Milton Friedman.
Friedman.
There you go, Milton Friedman.
Friedman.
Yeah, Milton Friedman. And you know why he said that? Because he understood that free trade is the fucking answer. Deregulation. So any of you, for whatever reason you're doing it, is simping for tariffs, you are going against the most fucking basic principles of free market capitalism. You are fucking simping for the wrong side. So just because your fucking guy is in office and said tariffs are a good idea, and because you're cranky with China because they were kicking your ass because we weren't as innovative as we should have been, you guys can't sell out your fucking principles in a generation just because Trump became president. Milton Friedman should be your guiding fucking light, not Donald Trump. And those of you that sit here and advocate for tariffs, you're not fiscal conservatives. You're not even students of economics.
Look at the numbers on the tariffs. They've only taken in 150 billion. That's 10 days of federal spending. That's not a reduction in spending. That doesn't pay down the debt. That does nothing. It moves the needle nowhere. So it has been the lamest and longest conversation about tariffs. It's meaningless communication.
There's a lot of exceptions to it also on the tariffs. There's trying to
Are you
figure out.
pro tariff, Abby?
No. I am ordering a new freaking car from Germany. It's been a pain in the ass trying to figure out what it's going to cost me. So right now, I'm definitely not in favor of them. But
Right now, but overall you were before you were impacted.
no, I've never. That's not something. No, I wouldn't say I was in favor of them. What he's using with strategy right now, I definitely thought it was interesting how things played out with Canada, though. I do want to say that. But I just want to say I think there's exceptions in these tariffs with the different countries, and definitely with Europe. And I'm trying to read it as it's happening in real time. And maybe you guys have more insight into it as to what the carve-outs are on what will not be governed by it.
Well, we're going to 40 trillion in debt.
With Europe in particular, I'm curious, the carve-outs.
So here's the important thing to consider with free trade, right? That moron that is back on the stage real quick. He likes to use this word that he borrowed from the left called fair trade. Fair trade just simply means that you get to control what happens with the trade, so you don't like it to be free. Which, by the way, free trade is the biggest weapon against war. Everybody knows that. Nebraska. But here's something to think about. Within free trade, if you find that there's a country that you don't like the way that that they're let's say you don't like their stance on human rights or whatever the fucking excuse you're going to come up with of why you don't like them, right? Let's say they're a bunch of commie bastards. Let's say they're building a war machine against you. Let's say they sponsor terrorism, right? There are ways within free trade that you can just say, okay, I'm not going to get my rice from them. I'm not going to get my rubber from them. I'm not going to get my steel from them. You just have to go seek it out elsewhere. If you want free trade, doesn't mean nobody says we have to trade with China. But the idea that you're going to put a tariff on it is stupid. If there's something that China exclusively has, whether it's a fucking mineral or finished good, really, what China does for the world, and you guys recognize this, what they do well is they manufacture, right? They are a manufacturing engine for the entire fucking globe. Now, if you don't want to do trade with them, or if you think that there's a trade imbalance and you want to fix this, then what you have to do is you have to find a different country that you're going to have free trade with that gets you what you want. You don't sit there and put these fucking stupid tariffs that raises the prices on consumers. Because the price that it raises on consumers works in two ways. It's not just simply on the products that were imported because you've slapped some tariff on it. It's also the companies within your own country that are now going to have to compete, right? They can then raise their prices because they know that the foreign goods are more expensive now because of the tariffs. So even the American stuff is going up. You know what's not happening? American goods are not going down in price. They're going up. They're going up in price.
Don't the American companies, though there is positive, the American companies are getting the benefit of purchasing. I mean, you can't negate that wouldn't be a fallout from it, that they will choose to purchase domestically. And I mean, that's the point he's trying, is that it incentivizes keeping the business.
So you are supportive of tariffs?
No, I'm just saying you've just raised all the negatives, and you raised the negative on the domestic companies, and I'm saying there's it's not 100% negative. There is a positive fallout from it, and you can't negate that. And I also go back to what we did with Canada, because they just flat out refused to recognize that they do have a border with us. That just like Mexico, we had a fentanyl issue coming from the northern border as well. We had other issues, border-related issues with them. Watch list people were coming in, they weren't taking it seriously, and he did put pressure on them. And I wonder if you see it any differently with a bordering nation than with a nation on the other side of the Pacific.
Not at all. I'm a free trade zealot. And the reason for that is that if you think about this realistically, just hear me out here. If you're going to have a tariff to protect your industry, think about what that means. That means this is what Astro wants. He wants the government to step in to protect industry. The only industries that need protection are those that are not efficient, where there's competition that is beating them. So you want to protect the company that has failed to innovate to a degree that you would choose them at a higher price, or it's going to be somebody else has manufactured something better. It's either better or cheaper, right? And so the only thing tariffs protect, the only industry that tariffs protect, are those that are inefficient. If you have an efficient industry here, they don't need any protection. And this economic protectionism is just fucking crazy. It's unnecessary. What we should do is we should take the burden off of these companies. We should lower their taxes. We should deregulate them so they can spend more money becoming more efficient, innovating more, and releasing more products, and being able to get the price down because of economy of scale. Like increasing their manufacturing capabilities. The way that you can do that is by deregulating the market and to tax them less. But instead of that, what Astro wants to do is he wants to put more regulations on them. It's just fucking crazy.
That's not.
You're worse than a leftist, you fucking retard. Respect you.
You're putting words in my mouth for half the things I didn't even argue for. I'd already said John Stossel's right. Over-regulation sometimes produces these mega corporations. I mean, you have to deregulate in some instances. You have to regulate in more instances, okay? I'm not against deregulation entirely, okay? So stop saying that. That's not my position. Another thing is too, like, are you okay with foreign companies having a dominant market share in America? Like, if you had anywhere more.
Yes, I am. And I'll tell you why. No, hold on. You asked me a question, I'm going to answer. Yes, I am. Because what I want is I want Americans to step up to the fucking challenge. I want us to make the best fucking products on planet fucking Earth so nobody else would want to buy something unless they literally couldn't afford it. I want us to fucking step this shit up. I want the regulation to go away. I want us to be the leader in innovation. What you're saying is anti-innovation. What you're supporting here, which would take us to the fucking Stone Ages. I just don't get it. It drives. You shut your fucking mouth, you fucking leftist LARPing as a fucking right winger. This is fucking ridiculous. Fuck yourself, you little fucking whore.
Right, she was right about that. Right.
But here's the thing: if these corporations become dominant in the United States, or owned by China, owned by some other foreign nation, whether it be Russia or North Korea, whatever hypothetical adversary, guess what? They could actually use their political influence in the United States and actually. Instead, they could use.
Asher, where'd you study political science? Asher, where'd you study political science?
I didn't get a political science degree because it's a fluff degree. I'm sorry. You're just supposed to do that on day one like that.
Hold on. Look, I'm not hold on. I'm not a credentialist. I'm just asking where you got that degree. You acknowledge you didn't have one. I'm an autodidact. I didn't go to fucking school either. But I did read quite a bit. It's kind of obvious that that's something you should try. Where did you study economics?
The internet.
You studied economics on the internet. And who's the economist that you go to? Who's your go-to for economic theory?
Good question. There's a lot of different thinkers out there. I mean,
Name one.
I did earlier. I said G.K. Chesterton. He's pretty influential, I'd say. And he was good. He was good back in the early 20th century.
Did he win a Nobel Prize?
If he did or didn't, it don't matter. The Nobel Peace Prize is completely.
I didn't say the Peace Prize. I said a Nobel Prize in economics.
No. Does that mean anything? You said you're not for the credential class.
Well, I'm trying to figure